So I went to Dehkia Aakman, the new grinding spot where you can get your Debo earrings if you are extremely lucky. Honestly, very RNG spot. It's basically similar to Star's End, more like Star's End Towers, since the main mechanic here is just you put down the lantern and then for the entire hour you just get waves and waves and waves of monsters. Again, literally like Star's End Towers, with the only exception being that once in a while, let's say about 6 times per hour, you will get Dominators, the bosses of, let's say, the end of the waves, the thing that drops a bunch of trash. And as far as I saw, I only got my Debos from the Dominator. I'm pretty sure there is a chance to drop Debos from monsters, but I only got them from the mini boss. And again, I only counted those for 1 hour and I got 6. So I assume for most people it will be maybe between 5 and 7. I heard there's a bit of RNG in that, but I'm not entirely sure since I only spent 6 hours here. Honestly, it's a very simple spot, very AFK, you could say. You just, especially if you have a class like Guardian with big AoEs, you just simply spam AoEs for an entire hour. There's not much to worry about, at least with my gear score. It's just nothing really was a threat. Yeah, sure, the red circles, that, you know, stuff you're supposed to avoid, it does damage, but honestly, in my opinion, it's not enough to pose a threat, not enough to really pay attention to, especially since the mechanics here don't seem to make that much sense. Yeah, sure, the Dominator tries to kill you, he has patterns, he does try to attack you, but the random rock that drops on the ground that tries to do an AoE left and right side, that one is literally RNG. It drops in a random position with a random direction. It doesn't even attempt to hit you. Most of the time it will just simply be in the background and you can just ignore it. So again, a very simple spot, honestly one of the easiest Dehkia spots I've seen so far. And honestly, very RNG dependent. The Deborekas earrings, how many do you think I got in 6 hours? And during which hours? Well, I can just tell you straight up. I got 3 in total in 6 hours and they all dropped in the exact same hour. I had 1 amazing hour with 3 Debos and a compass piece, and then 5 dry hours, and according to Garmoth it's supposed to be 1 every 4 hours, so I would expect at least another 6 hours of just nothing. So yeah, let's take a look at some numbers. First, the soft cap here, the AP cap, it's 70%, so AP still matters, but you're gonna aim for a 1000 AP. This is the gear that I had, 312 AP. I got the new artifacts this time. No, I didn't grind them, I bought them from the marketplace. And since it's only one set, I just went for the light stones that I already owned. These, watch your back, might not be the best here, but it's just what I used. You could use species damage if you want. Journals, crystals, again, standard crystals, critical rate, because the monsters get knocked down, so you just do down attack. I would say, honestly, Hystria and Aakman are very similar. You do Aakman if you can benefit, if your class benefits from down attacks, and then you do Hystria, which is very similar, just it's still waves, just like Aakman, but you go there if your class doesn't benefit from down attacks, because you cannot knock down Hystria monsters. Addons, again, I had these. If you don't play Guardian, you don't really care for it. 1063 AP with self AP buffs included, and food buffs I had these. I guess a bit less AP, my bad, because I didn't have the house buff. I used it for 1 hour and that's it. For the others I didn't even have it. I went for standard rotation. Sometimes I had a deep sea instead of the courage. Honestly, just don't use any. The waves here are they are fixed, the spawn rate. If you have more AP, it doesn't really seem to matter much. You just simply clear faster and then you have to wait 1 or 2 seconds for the next wave of monsters to spawn. So don't use elixir rotation, it's a waste. And again, don't use perfume of courage. Don't use any perfume, because 90 million silver per hour is a lot to spend for virtually no real benefit. Same for the house buff. And for this horse buff, again, didn't really have it for most of my hours, because you're forced to leave your horse at the entrance of Aakman. By the way, they made an entrance to Aakman, it has an exit now. Still, you have to put the horse outside, get your buff, because if you bring the horse inside, it's just simply gonna die. So it's unfortunate. And that reminds me, another disadvantage, I would say this is the first area I would describe as maybe pay to win or just not accessible for new players. Since you cannot bring a horse inside, you are forced to either not grind a full hour, which with a lantern you have to spend 20 energy just to put it down. It's not good to not grind at least 1 hour. You're just forced to rely on maids to manage your weight limit. And for me it was fine, but I would estimate for most people you need at least 20 maids to be able to grind a proper hour and just min-max weight limit that way. Again, it's inconvenient for people who are new-ish to the game and they don't have a bunch of mates because there's no way to bring the horse inside. So, Garmoth. Let's begin with Garmoth. 22,500 trash per hour average. It's very consistent. It goes up and down depending on the dominators you get because they drop like 800, 900 trash each on yellow loot scroll, so it's pretty significant. For 1.4 billion per hour average, but this is pretty inaccurate. I will just play with this on the Excel side to show you the actual result because again, 3 debos in 6 hours means I go to 1 every 2 hours, which is higher than it's supposed to be, but higher than average. But at least if they buff this spot in the future and you can expect 1 every 2 hours, then this is pretty much the money you're gonna make. Otherwise it's pretty consistent around 1-ish billion without a debo. That's not it. Why is this one 1.2? 5 earrings, interesting hour, and a bunch of Kafras. On global data, again, the trash is pretty much the same between 21 and 23. That's what you should expect because the waves are limited and your only fluctuation is the dominators. 1 every 4 hours, the earring, as I said earlier, and about 1.1, 1.2 billion is what you should expect. And honestly, I think this is the official money per hour. Let's say around 1.2 because the trash average is a bit low. It's not even 22. Now for Excel, for the fun part. Once again, it's the exact same data as on Garmoth. Kind of the exact same money per hour, except I don't subtract any of the costs, including the lantern. So this is just raw profit up here. Then below, subtracting the money for the lantern, 80 million silver. Simulations, same stuff with higher speed, 24,000 trash average, if it will be possible later, or just some classes might be able to pull that. It's just nice to see faster speeds in general. And I wanted to show you different results with different debos. So let's say I get only 1 in 6 hours, which would be 1 every 6 hours. This is the money per hour you can expect, 1.15. 2 every 6 hours, that's how it changes. 4 every 6 hours, there you go. Just you can believe whichever one you want. For me, I got 3, I'm gonna leave it at 3, but I believe it should be probably 2, probably around there. 1.45 loot scroll scaling, because you will see later, it doesn't really matter much. Agris, yeah, let's discuss about Agris, because this one was very annoying. Let's just say I used all of my points, 100,000 during the stream to test it officially, and then I realized after, when I was doing the math, that, oh, I only accounted for 1 of the dominators, when in fact I spawned 2 of them, and I have no idea what the second one spawned, because Agris here doesn't work on the boss, on the dominator, so I have to subtract the trash from that in order to get a proper efficiency number. So then I came back and I did another hour. TLDR, let's just say 17.2 thousand trash per hour, speed wise 100 points per mob, 2.7 thousand mob skill per hour. You can see the numbers here. I estimated 100% loot scroll efficiency because the density is very low, so you will loot everything, and this is your efficiency number, the money you make only from Agris, just Agris. 273,000 points. Obviously you cannot use that many per hour, so you will not last an hour. When I was testing it, I did 24 minutes. And if you're wondering what speed this is, this 17,000, it's basically this one. I used the experience hour, 23.5 thousand trash per hour. So this is 17 because I subtracted the 6 dominators, the trash I got from each of them, because again, Agris doesn't work on these, so this doesn't count towards Agris efficiency. If I compare this to the other areas I tested in recent times, and I can find it, it's this one, it's right here. It's basically around Guyfins. Everyone knows Guyfins, so Guyfins kinda sucks. This also kinda sucks for Agris. It goes without saying, maybe don't bother using it here, at least. Again, at least it's better than Elvia, Serendia Elvia, and in this case Dehkia Cyclops. It's funny how it should be the same as Dehkia Cyclops, because both areas use 100 Agris per monster. It's just the trash here is about double the value. Blue versus yellow loot scroll, about 60% efficiency with my actual drops 3 Debos in 6 hours. Again, very heavy on the rare loot side. Drop rate on average, again, 305 or 405 because of the base 100%. Adding the numbers from earlier from the money per hour, as I said, let's just say 1.44 is the actual scaling. I bumped it up to 1.4 to 45% for blue just because the dominator drops a bunch of trash, so I expect that one to also be 1.5. It might also be worth mentioning that the big elites drop a bit more trash, which maybe it will bump up that efficiency to 46 or 47% for blue loot scroll, which makes it even better because instead of between 4 and 8, the big dudes drop maybe 10, 12, 14 trash, so just barely a bit higher. And you do get them, when the dominator spawns, he spawns a wave of elites, and then when he ends, he also spawns a wave of elites, so you will see them here and there throughout the hour. Just something worth noting. If I go back here and put 1 Debo in 6 hours and then we look again, it's 71%, so it gets better. I suppose with 2, let's say, it goes to 65%, so it gets better the less rare drop rate you have. Which makes sense, doesn't it? Because if you get more of your profits from trash, then it makes sense that the yellow loot scroll, which only gives you more trash, will be more efficient. For the tent buff, I'm pretty sure at this point I should stop mentioning it because it's just worth it to buy it everywhere, the 50% tent buff. It's 87 million silver for your 50 spent if you get 3 Debos, and if you only get 1 Debo in 6 hours, then it drops to 60, which is still above the 50, so just always get a tent buff. I'm pretty sure most people are like, duh, I'm here to get Debos, obviously I'm gonna cap out my drop rate, but still. For experience, Dehkia Aakman lands about here with almost 2.8 thousand mobs killed per hour. It might be relevant again if they fix the waves, if they make them faster or uncap the waves so that they spawn as soon as the previous one is killed or something, then maybe the speed will go up, but otherwise it will stay fairly consistent. It's around Sikraya upper kind of experience, Biragi, but again keep in mind, one of these days I will go through this entire chart and scale up every number, because Biragi at 19,000 trash per hour, for me it's bad because now I can do 25,000 trash nowadays, so Biragi would be a bit higher, but basically this is where it is. It's acceptable experience, it's not the best, not the worst, it's just, it is what it is, it's there. For skill points, it's not even worth mentioning, it's 0.75, which is basically not even up here enough to fit on my screen, so it's irrelevant. Fun fact, I had to go and retest Polyforest just to test experience here, because we got a new event ongoing with 400% experience for 2 weeks, and that buff doesn't scale with the rest, so I have to go, maybe you don't care, doesn't matter. TLDR, that's pretty much it for the spot. Experience is whatever, skill points are trash, Agris is again trash, and money per hour is bare bones. Honestly, I would say it's bad, but then I have to remember it's a treasure spot, and most people know treasure spots usually suck. They don't give you good money, it's just a treasure spot. So for a treasure spot, making 1 billion per hour at the base and then potentially getting RNG carried with a bunch of Debos like I did and get 3 billion in 1 hour with 3 Debos, it is good, it's good enough, right? Especially if you need the Aakman pieces, then why would you not grind here? If you think about it that way, then it's a pretty good spot. And then of course you can enhance your Debos and make even more money. In my case, with my 3 Debos, I tapped all of them during the stream just to min-max my profits, because hey, why not, it's fun. I did use fail stacks to have 90% and then 50-something% success rate. I got my duo Debo in the end. I made what, 7 billion I think, or 8 billion, whatever it's worth. And if only I dropped one more. I did 1 hour of Histria and a 6th hour here just to see if I can drop a 4th Debo, so I can tap this one to try. Honestly, just tap your Debos to pry if you plan to sell them for profits. Just 90% success rate, right? At least you get more money out of this area. And yeah, that's basically it. Next I'm gonna go do Histria, hopefully get just as RNG carried, at least a couple of Debos, so I can hopefully not blow up my duo and maybe get a try. I will see you with that one whenever it happens, or maybe on stream if you wanna drop by. Otherwise, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, you put a smile on my face, leave a comment if you have any thoughts, engagement, opinions, discussions. What did you think about the spot? How did your hours go here? Were you more RNG carried? Does your class suck here? Just let me know. And I will see you next time. Bye bye!